Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today I have the fortunate ability to connect with Mr. Aldrin Tan, founder of Esprit Realty. And Aldrin has been in the business for quite some time, since 1999, I believe. But in order to explain further, I'd like to give the floor to Aldrin before we go to the questions proper for today. Aldrin, can I just
All
ask
right.
you, tell me a little
Yeah.
bit about yourself and also how did Esprit come about?
All right. Okay. Thanks, Ernest and the staff for having me here. All right. Okay. Well, I actually started being an agent back in 1995. All right. Before that, I was actually working in Australia. I was actually an accountant. So you can imagine those days in the early 90s. There's so many news about Malaysia and the Southeast Asian country. Those days we are one of the five Asian tigers where the Malaysia economy was actually booming. So I was reading a lot about Malaysian developers going to Australia doing development. The two that actually I could remember is actually Tan and Tan and Berjaya. So those were the days. So what I did was somewhere back in July 95, I decided to pack my bag and come back to be a real estate agent. So it's been a long, a long 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah, very challenging, very interesting, certainly very rewarding, and it's something that you can actually not only you learn every day, but you actually have a lot of self-growth if you know how to go in the right direction. Yeah. So yeah.
Interesting. Actually, I just want to take one step back when you said that you were a practicing accountant over there. I mean, isn't it a dream of every parent, wow, my kid is a doctor, lawyer, accountant, set for life already, and you want to do business and become a real estate agent? What happened?
Yes. Now, so that's what happened. So when I came back, I didn't tell my mom that I actually came back, to be an agent. So when I came back, I went to an interview by an accounting firm, Arthur Anderson. All right, that was in Pusat Damansara. Okay, so I went there for an interview and I got the job. They gave me a letter of offer, but obviously I didn't turn up. And so instead I went for an interview. Now those days I went for an interview with one of the real estate firm. The very first real estate firm was Chesterton Realty. All right. So I always remember, I think it's just a couple of days before the 31st of August. And and my mom didn't know that until about a couple of months later when obviously the first 6 months I was struggling. Things just didn't happen so easily. All right, when we first started, and or rather when I first started. So my mom got to know when I asked her whether she could give me a bit of money so that I can actually pay for my car installment. So that's how it is. But so that was somewhere in mid 95. So that's how it is. Yep.
Okay. Now, fast forwarding 25 years, you've built a very good, strong team. You've also built a team that is anchored on values, and the values is actually to deliver value to your clients first. And in all the discussions, negotiations, and you've actually shared this many times with me, your clients' needs and perspective has always been the forefront of what you guys do.
Yes, that's right.
But specifically right now, because of the order not to travel, order not to go around, and the COVID-19 situation in Malaysia, I wanted to find out from you, how are you conducting yourself during this period where you're unable to go out, unable to do training, unable to go and inspire your negotiators and your team members? How are you doing right now?
Well, okay, now, so we all know that we are partially locked down, all right, okay. So how do I inspire? I think first thing first, I was just messaging in our group channel, this morning, and so I was just saying that definitely we're going through a very tough time, something that is that no one has actually experienced, but think about it, life goes on. Definitely there will be a lot of changes that we need to embrace, and also we need to overcome. Now, I think one of the things is this now. This thing called the comfort zone, all right? As I was just sharing with you just right earlier on, before we start recording, we are talking about, list of the things that you can do when you are at home, you are being partially locked down. And one of the things that, I came out was to follow up with your client, but now why now and not earlier on? You know what I mean? Now, what I'm trying to say is this. we are still doing about the same thing. All right, okay. Now, in terms of in terms of work-wise, in terms of family-wise, in terms of relationship-wise, everything is the same, or rather, the objective is the same. It's just that how we execute it is different. All right. So in terms of training, all right, you mentioned about training. My company, we do a lot of training. Not only just training, is coaching, and we do it on either on a weekly, on a monthly basis. So what do we do now? Video conferencing is one of it. Zoom is fantastic. Let's just show how technology really helps us to carry forward during challenging time. Now, I think with respect to client as well, I think this is also a time where a lot of agents, it's self-reflection. All right, self-reflection. And I think why we are not doing it earlier as to now is, well, I guess one of the things is we have a bit more time to ourselves now. The fact that we get pushed, or rather we get locked down. All right, okay, most of the time. All right, almost 24 hours. So it's a time of reflection. So when we have more time to ourselves, when we reflect, so these are the things that we will want to do. All right, follow up with your client. Okay, I don't know, share some information with them. This is what I noticed over the last 3-4 days. On my WhatsApp channel, I get people who I've been constantly engaging with them. Over the years. Especially those that's over the last 3 to 4 months, they start sharing information. Of course, they'll start with, "Hey, Aldrin, how are you doing?" So as much as we are also doing the same, but I think one of the things is this: it's just a simple act of constantly engaging with your client. All right, constantly engaging with people that you're engaging. All right, but and this is what I noticed. All right. This is not about sales. This is not about anything. I think it's just a basic fundamental of being a human being. All right, and we are all selfish people. So whenever we need something, that is where we will activate the button, and these are the people that we will start calling them when we need them. So when we do not need them, they will be somewhere behind our call memory. Deep down somewhere inside. And the amazing thing about the human being is this. All right, when we need help, sometimes we think about the people that we hardly even actually keep in touch with them. All right, so I think a simple act of following up, either by a phone call, by a WhatsApp, can be any medium. I think that is what it is. Yeah.
So if I hear you correctly, what you were saying is that don't use the relationships for your own benefit only. Cultivate the relationships.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you got to put emotion into that relationship to cultivate and grow it.
Exactly. Yes, that's right.
How do you then train this to your team members, especially now when you are not physically there? I know you can use technology, but how do you do that? I mean, do you still give coaching one-on-one, or do you do phone calls?
Wow. Okay. So then this is always what we call the soft skill, the mindset. All right. Okay. So there's this saying that you can't change the behavior of a person. So it's either you accept it and you learn to accept that. Now, I think the key thing is not training. The key thing is not coaching. Okay, don't get me wrong here. Training, coaching is highly important. All right. When I first started 25 years ago, hardly there's this thing called training or coaching. All right, it's just that I was following my principle. So you see and you copy what do they do, what they did. That works for them. Now, but of course, obviously, training and coaching is very important. Now, what I'm trying to say is consistency of training and coaching. Continuous training and coaching, that is the key thing. All right, it cannot be a touch and go thing. So when we do it continuously, all right, over the years, okay, now these are the messages that we will actually impart. Now, one of the things is this. So some people ask me, so Aldrin, what is the culture of your company? When someone asked me that probably about 10 years ago, to be very honest with you, if you were to ask me that, Ernest, 10 years ago, so Aldrin, what is the culture of a company? It's totally blank in my mind. Now, why? Okay, so those were the days many years ago when I built the team. Is all based on sales. All right, so we just want to have as much sales as possible. All right, so and for many years I didn't realize I was actually self-employed and not running the business. So this is where the difference lies. All right, Yes, I started Esprit in year 2000, so it has been the last 20 years. But to be very honest with you, for the first 10 years between 2000 to 2010, I thought I was running the business. In fact, I was actually leading a team and not running the business. Yeah, all right. And so what makes a difference? I think what makes a difference is this. So from the perspective of when you run the business, so these are all the elements that will come to the picture. You're talking about management, you're talking about structuring, you're talking about organization chart, you're talking about, let's say, training, all right? So now to impart certain values, this is what we do. Continuous training where every single session elements of mindset are being not only subtly being put forward, but also people in Esprit are being trained. All right. For example, we talk about integrity. Yeah, everyone knows that, you know, in this line or whatever that we do in life, okay, there must be integrity. Am I right?
Yes.
So how do you train someone to be to have a high level of integrity? How? By just telling them?
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Am I right? So how? Seriously, so how? But so in our training, we do a lot of reverse engineering, I called it. All right.
Okay.
So what does it take for someone to have a certain high level of integrity? I think one of the things is this transparency. All right. So transparency is very important. So this is also part of the 5 pillars of Esprit, where transparency is what we practice, what we preach, and this is what we practice. Now, very challenging, all right, because to uphold transparency, to be very honest with you, it's not easy, all right. But this is what make what Esprit is all about. So when we talk about transparency, it has to start from top to bottom, all right, and also it has to be being practiced at the bottom, all right, or on the ground, where this whole thing will actually makes a difference, all right. And one of the major thing about why a lot of agency owners struggle, all right, including myself, is this, all right. You know, we know what to do. We all know what to do, okay. We know what to plan. We know how to roll it out. But more often than not, when the things get translated to the ground, all right, things will get very different, okay, where people do not so-called conform or comply, all right. So that is what it is. So that's why our continuous training, this is what we do to mold their mindset so that they will be more receptive, so that they can also experience the culture that we are creating, that we are actually, not only that we are creating, that it is an environment that we are creating, so that whatever values that we put forward, you know, it can hold within the environment. Yeah, so that's how we do it.
To build this from top down is already a challenge, because first of all, you got to get it through your own mindset first. I mean, this is your own shift that needs to happen.
Yeah.
And then you need to have a core and inner core and this whole thing to move down.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
How important is the team to your organization currently? How do you keep them as pumped up, focused, especially now and moving forward beyond now? What happens after this session is over, when life restarts again and everybody starts running around? Instead of saying, okay, I need to still focus on the fundamentals.
Well, okay, now, this is what it is. Now, number one, acknowledging what is happening, that is a key thing, number one. So that's step number one, all right? Now, step two is this, all right? After acknowledging, realizing what are the implications of coronavirus or this partially lockdown or lockdown happening all over the world, is it going to lead to an economic meltdown? All right. So realizing what are the implications is very important. Now, the third thing is this, all right. We need to strategize and we need to get ready. Now, this is what happened. Let me just give an example. About 5 years ago, all right. So 5 years ago, I was running a much smaller team. And one of the things that I wanted to implement was actually an online application, so that my agent can actually submit everything online, and also all the forms are to be digitalized, and so it's basically an app that we actually was developing 5 years ago. We went through tremendous challenge. Almost went to hell, I would say. All right, excuse my language. All right, now why do I say so? Why do I say so? Is the fact that it's not about the technology. you see, the amazing part is technology is everywhere. It's a cost. To acquire that is not the biggest challenge. The most challenging part is actually whether do people, the human factor, do they embrace it or not? All right. So that was 5 years ago. So it took us almost a year. So it was in 2016 when I implemented an online submission of case. You can claim everything, you can upload everything, and it's so handy. Some of the people that actually came and tell me, and one of the things is, Aldrin, why do I need to do that? All right. I say, yeah, it'll help you, it'll save you petrol, it'll save you time. You need not to submit anything, physical. You need not to come to office to submit. You know how much money you can save petrol, touch and go, and time? All right. This is what the person came and, tell me, Aldrin, do you know that it takes me about 4 minutes just to submit in the case? I got 30 cases. Do you want me to spend so much time keying in what your admin's supposed to do rather than I spend time to close more deal? Now, that was actually very challenging. Now, fast forward, this is what happened, all right? So, part of the training that we do, all right, and we are telling them, look at how you book an air flight. 20 years ago, when we want to book an air flight, it's as simple as we pick up a call our travel agent and say that we are flying on which day, and whatever it is, just behind over the phone, everything will be arranged. Am I right?
Yep.
And then when we need to confirm the flight those days, I'm not sure whether you remember, okay, 1 week before we need to confirm the flight, and we will call the airline to confirm. Okay, now these days, what do we do when we need to fly? Okay, we need to download the apps, we need to key in everything, the passport, self-check-in, everything, and to make sure that all the information is correct before you actually start paying. So another word is this now. To move forward, all right, definitely a very challenging time. Acknowledge what is happening, find out what are the implications, okay, get ready, embrace changes. I think that is the most important thing, all right? We are moving into, I could say, an uncharted territory, all right, where things can be highly uncertain. And I think the key word here is adaptability, all right? Now, as much as we like to forecast what is going to happen, we like to preempt situation, we cannot be 100% right, but I think it's the way we adapt. All right, but there are certain bases and foundation, okay, in terms of in this business. Number one, integrity, transparency, follow up with your client, don't leave them hanging. I think these are the very basic of what will make a good agent. Yeah.
Very interesting. Do you see that after this entire episode and the shrinking of the world because of technology, do you see the act of selling real estate or promoting real estate changing to more technology focused rather than relationship focused? Or what are your thoughts?
Well, okay, now whether are we moving to more technology, what do you call mode, so to speak? The answer is definitely yes. Okay, this is something unavoidable. All right. So I think the big question is this. All right. How relevant then is the human factor here? All right, in terms of the middleman. Okay. Estate agents technically is a middleman. Am I right?
Yep.
Okay. So then, what is the relevancy of the middleman here? Now, this is how I will put it. Remember, many years ago we have remisiers.
Yes, that's right.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So what happened to them? All right. Now, definitely, remisier is actually is went to extinction. All right, many years ago for a very simple reason. Now, what's the difference then between a remisier and actually a stock dealer? All right, they're actually still stock dealer who handles institutional sales of stock. Am I right?
That's
so
right.
Basically, they are dealing with stock. Now, this is how I see it. All right, whether you are a middleman or not, you can be a negotiator, you can be a car salesman, it can be anything. The important thing is this: what is the value that you're going to bring on the table? Okay, other than just the stocks that you have. All right, other than the keys that's in your hand, other than you are able to so-called have a sales form or rental form just to close the deal. Now, if you are that type of agent who are doing what I call order taking, all right, just being a point of part of the whole process, believe me, you will be out of the game extremely very soon. All right. So the whole thing is to keep ourselves relevant would be what are the values. So in other words, in a very simple form, okay, moving forward, there are more values that we would need to impart to our client. Not just information. Now, information today is everywhere. All right. One of the things is we must be able to analyze. We must be able to make it a deduction of all the information that's coming in and give a sound advice to our client. All right. Now, we are not lawyers. We are not economists. Am I right? We are not a lot of things. We are real estate agents. Well, this is a profession. Now, there are a lot of things that we will need to be knowledgeable of. Economics, accounting, laws, and things like that. These are the information that we need to upkeep ourselves so that the information that we have, we are able to form a deduction and a conclusion, and we are able to advise soundly to our client. And I think this is the most important thing. Now, technology, unless it's something like, I don't know, a self-driven car, am I right? So that's what Uber is actually trying to develop, where they will totally eliminate the driver itself, all right? But I don't see this is where the industry is going, and we will still be relevant as long as we make ourselves relevant, okay? So that's what it is, yeah.
Well, Aldrin, thank you so much for your time. But before I let you go, I wanted to just give this really X-factor questions to you to see what your upline thoughts are, your top-line thoughts are.
All right, okay.
If I'm speaking on behalf of those fellows interested to get involved in this business because they may have had full-time jobs throughout their entire lives, but because the world is changing so fast and because of what's happening to technology and the technology digitization of work may not be the same for these individuals anymore. What would you say to them to consider taking that step towards becoming a real estate negotiator? What would you say to them in terms of preparing for that?
What would I say to them? 2 words, very simple, do it. All right? Just do it now. Now, the thing is this, many years ago, we all talk about whether are you a part-timer or you're a full-timer, am I right? So now, to me, this is what it is, you know, people who join the company those days, so my question is, I'll ask them, are you a part-timer or are you a full-timer? All right, so those were the days, all right? Now, soon I realized that whether they claim themselves to be full-timer or part-timer is how much time do they spend in running this business for themselves, okay? And those days, of course, things are more of physical, am I right? We you know, when I first started already, there's handphone, okay? But then those were the days where there's more of like a physical meeting, all right? You know, we spend more time on the road, we spend more time out there. Now, this is what is happening with all this technology development and advancement, okay? Even today, what we're doing now, we're having a Zoom meeting, am I right? Imagine this is probably 5 years ago. This even wouldn't happen. Yeah, am I right? Yeah, you see, we already have FaceTime those days. Why are we not doing it? It's actually a trend, am I right? So now, this saves a lot of time, okay? So another word is this, people who are actually doing part-time, so to speak, is because they have limited time, all right? We in the limitation of the time, things are being executed a lot faster, a lot more efficient nowadays. Passing on the information, like what I say, you know, it's just way too fast. You know, things is happening way too fast. So to me, for those who are in other industries, now these are extremely very challenging time. I don't know, people could be in the airline industry, people could be in, I don't know, involving in the F&B, and you know, I truly believe unemployment will be going up, all right? Not just in Malaysia, I think in the whole parts of the whole world. And so what are these people going to do? Now, one of the things will be to become a real estate negotiator, all right? And the greatest challenge of why people, when they come into this industry is this. You know, it's a chicken and the egg thing, all right? So fear is number one. Now, why are they fearful? Because they're not sure whether would this industry make them a minimum income that they can even survive first to start out with, all right? Let's not talk about making that into a career, okay? But this is how I look at the whole situation. Advancement of technology allows us to carry out our work more efficiently So meaning to say, limited time is one where it may no longer be a challenge to those who are part-timer. So to me, my answer would be, do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Great advice.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, Aldrin. We've learned so much from you today. And ladies and gentlemen, before we end this session, I just wanted to share with you that it takes the first step before you embark on any journey that's worthwhile. And if you look at any track record, I would strongly encourage you to just Google up Esprit Realty, Aldrin Tan, take a look at his background, take a look at what he's accomplished. And at the end of the day, although I'm not trying to disparage Aldrin, he's only human, but he did it. And he did it because he took the first step.
Exactly.
So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Aldrin, thank you so much for your time. And I look forward to a next catch up with you.
All right. Thanks, Ernest. All right.
Take care.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, take care. All right.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. All right.